Well, guys, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode, another live show from Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. And I have a couple of special guests joining us in a few minutes. They're in the green room at the moment, snacking on fries and Diet Pepsi and Pepsi Free or whatever you call it. And they'll be well, one of them is a very young fan, actually. He doesn't mind me telling you that. And he's going to give his review and his opinion on the brand new box set, Elvis from Elvis in Nashville, actually. And I've got to be careful because a few times I've actually said from Elvis in Memphis when I've been talking to people about it. So it's from Elvis in Nashville. And then we have the second person to win the Elvis Fan of the Week, Doug Dickerson. I've asked him to come on and talk to me a little bit about how he started becoming an Elvis fan and so forth, and just talking generally about Elvis. And I'm going to ask him a few questions about what's his favorite film, if he has one, what's his favorite album and so forth, what's his favorite song. Sometimes it's quite difficult, actually, to say what your favorite song is, because actually when I was speaking to Doug, just doing a sound and vision test there a couple of days ago, he put me on the spot and asked me what my favorite song was, and I couldn't name one. So I see a few people coming in. Marcia, Sandro, Ludane, NYC girl, hello, how are you doing? We'll also be doing another Elvis Fan of the Week quiz this week. I've done a little bit of a change. You only get 5 minutes for each question, and after that 5 minutes is up, you can't then put another answer in. So just 5 minutes on each question, because what I found was people were sort of Googling the answers, and so you've only got 5 minutes to answer. And actually, Doug is going to help me out on that. He's going to pick a winner for me. So without further ado, I think the best thing we can do is probably bring Doug in. Hi, Doug. How are you doing?
Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing?
It's a great honor for me to welcome you to the show. And you're the first guest I've had live on this show.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's my honor to be here.
Are you going to tell everybody how you became a fan and so forth, and just a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. My mom and her sisters were big fans, and my mom used to listen to them in the car. And I remember the song. For some reason, I was about 6 or 7, and the song that's when your heartaches begin. For some reason, it was that song that hooked me. And being a 6 or 7-year-old, you would have thought it would have been Hound Dog or Jailhouse Rock, but for some reason that song spoke to me, and I've been a fan ever since. And I've liked other music over the years, but that's Elvis has always been the one thing that has stayed with me my whole life. That maybe Led Zeppelin too, but not quite to the level of Elvis. So, but that's how I became a fan.
Yeah, I've always said that as well. He's been the one constant in my life, just about. Other things come into my life and go out again, but he's always been there.
That's right. That's exactly how it is for me.
Yeah. So you've got a vast collection of Elvis memorabilia and records, I take it.
I wouldn't say vast. I have some. I have some gadgets, and I got some albums, and I got some music, but not a vast collection. But I do have some. I've got some nice albums. I got How Great Thou Art in cellophane still, so it's an original. So that's probably my best one.
And I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you, can you tell me what your favorite? Well, we'll start with the Elvis film. What's your favorite Elvis film?
Now, Steve, that's an impossible answer. You cannot ask me that after you couldn't answer it yourself. So no, I'll try to answer it. I have how about a top 5 on my movies? Most people will say King Creole, but I'm not going to say King Creole. I'm going to say I love Jailhouse Rock. It's just the songs on it are just great, and I think he's just supernatural. in the movie. So that's my number one. King Creole, close second, because that is his best script, his best, acting job he did. 3, I would have to say, is Follow That Dream. I really like that movie. 4 is Jailhouse Rock. Not Jailhouse Rock, Viva Las Vegas, because of the chemistry between him and Anne Margaret. I thought was really outstanding, and the music's really good in that. And 5, I would have to say, that's a tough one. Maybe, Flaming Star. I'd have to go with Flaming Star. So those are my top 5 movies. And songs, I have a 50, the 54 through 64 songs I like, and then like 64 to 77 songs I like. So my 50 songs would be like, That's When Your Heartaches Begin, Thrill of Your Love, and then like 70 songs, American Trilogy. Let me think here. Make the World Go Away, Tomorrow Never Comes, which is kind of a preview of what Jake's going to be doing later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to bring Jake in a little minute to talk about the From Elvis in Nashville. But if you want to give me a very, very quick summary of what you think of it. I know you've been listening to it over the last few days. I've
been listening to it on YouTube, and I don't want to go into it too much, but the songs I've heard, like in the 70s, early 70s anyway, in the studio stuff, seemed like Felton liked to put a lot of orchestration, into the studio recordings. And this seems to be really stripped away of a lot of that. And I wrote down 2 songs, especially that I've heard that I thought were a lot better than the original. And that was, Tomorrow Never Comes, which I just mentioned, and Make the World Go Away were 2 of the songs I really liked a lot better than the original mix. So, but there's others. The whole album that I've listened to is just fantastic.
Yeah, I've got a couple that I highlighted as being my favorites from the box set, but I won't say them yet. I'll probably say them when Jake comes in. But believe it or not, those 2 aren't on my list. Although Tomorrow Never Comes has always been a favorite of mine anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Rob Jones is saying Any Day Now is one of my favorites. Yes, I agree, actually. And one of the things I love about Any Day Now is, that middle part when Elvis hits those high falsetto notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a brilliant piece.
Well, the 2 songs I picked weren't necessarily my favorite songs. They're just the songs that I thought were much better than the original.
Yeah.
So I like the songs you just mentioned too, and some other songs on there that are just great. But I thought the Tomorrow Never Comes and Make the World Go Away were really just so much better than the original.
Vincenzo says he's heard the Elvis in Nashville album on YouTube and he loves it. I think a lot of people are saying, just it's like giving your ears a spring clean.
Yeah.
And they brought Elvis's vocal out so well.
Yeah.
And just stripped it all back. That's the abiding thing I get. It's like just hearing them fresh, like nearly like the first time.
Right, it's real raw.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw you back in the green room for a little while because I want you to do that little job I asked you to do.
Yeah, okay? I'm gonna try to keep track of that. I'm doing that on my phone, so I hope I don't miss anybody. Yeah. So bear with me, guys. If I don't get you.
No problem.
I'm gonna try my hardest.
And I'll bring you back in. Don't worry. So don't go away. Okay. So thanks for that, Doug. There'll be more to say later on, but I'd like to introduce you now to a great Elvis fan, but he's only a young fella, and his name is Jake Bailiff. Hi, Jake.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. Thanks for joining me on the show tonight. I know you've been looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And can you tell us all how you became an Elvis fan at such a young age?
Well, I was 2, and I was riding in my grandpa's car. He had an old 51 Ford, and his favorite song was Burnin' Love, and he had the 30 #1 hit CD, and he popped it in, he turned it to track 29. And pretty much from then on, I just read books, listened to records, CDs, and I really loved the Elvis's Golden Records cassette tape that I'd play a lot. And yeah, I just became a fan.
So how come you aren't into, say, all the modern day music? Or maybe you are. Are you into the modern day music?
No, I think it's bad. I just, there's something about Elvis. I mean, he has so much charisma. I feel like if people really watched him, he could draw anybody in.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't listen to any modern day music then?
No, only the stuff that I was being newly released for Elvis.
Yeah. And that brings us on to the From Elvis in Nashville box set. You've been listening to that all day, have you?
Yeah, it's great, man. Yeah.
And do you want to take us through it? Do you want to show us the box set on the screen if you can? I'll put you a full screen and you can show us.
So I have the LP album here, and yeah, it's the 4 CD set comes with pretty much everything that was recorded in the sessions, and the LP is like pretty much like about 22 songs from the track listing. And like I said, it's just a great set. And I got to say, probably my favorite song from the set is Funny How Time Slips Away, because it's just so much better, and it just, like, I feel like when they originally, mastered everything, they really just like maybe put extra stuff on top of it. And what happened is it really drowned out Elvis's voice. And so when they did this, I watched the video of behind the scenes. They, I believe his name's like Matthew Ross Spring and Ernest Jorgensen. They went into Sam Phillips' recording studio and they tampered with it and they took everything out. They took the back. So their whole goal with this set was to try to make you feel like you were in the studio with Elvis, like you were like Charlie Hodge. And I just think it's fantastic. I listened to it and it just sounds so clear. And like the first time I heard it, I listened to the whole record because it came to my doorstep. I put it on the record player and I was like, I just sat there in amazement because I felt like I was in the studio, because I have the 3 albums that it made. It made That's the Way It Is, Elvis Country, and Elvis Love Letters from Elvis. And I have those albums, but it sounds so much different. And like there's a lot of outtakes on there. So of course outtakes will be different, but even like the ones that aren't outtakes still sound way better than the originals, because it sounds like you're in the studio with Elvis. And the picture on the front here, you have all these guys, and I would like to kind of introduce these guys to you because they're the Nashville Cats. So the first person, this is David Briggs, and then the second person, it's Norbert Putnam. I've always pronounced his name wrong, but he was also in some of the Jungle Room recordings. Then you got Elvis, and then this is Al Pachuki. He kind of engineered Elvis's songs. Then you got Jerry Kerrigan, Jerry Kerrigan on the drums. So like Ronnie Tutt wasn't in this session. Then you have Felton Jarvis, Chip Young, Mike McCoy, and then obviously James Burton. But this set's really cool, and the gatefold's it's really bad. That's the one thing that I think's bad about this set is a gatefold that just says a Studio B. And you can see the back of it. Oops, I'm not to. And but what they did put in this set was very fantastic, because they gave us picture sleeves, and you can see the picture sleeves. It pretty much explains the sessions. I always like this picture because that one because it's from the Memphian. And then you got kind of like just different advertisements. Then on the back you got more advertisements for Elvis's singles, more rare pictures, and then this has got like Cashbox stuff on it. This is like Record World, like advertisements for like Elvis's hits at the time. And then this is probably my favorite because they feature really cool pictures from That's the Way It Is. And I know the CD set comes with a booklet, but it's just fantastic. I've like listened to it probably about 3 times. And it just blows me away because I hear the originals like all the time. I play these albums all the time, even like the CDs, and they sound good. But like, for example, like Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, when I was listening to it, number one, it sounded way better. But also, since that was a jam, they cut out about a minute. So on this album, they put the full jam, and it just sounded so good. And it was like, it's just I don't know why they didn't release this at the time. You know what I mean? Because it's like this. It would have been so fantastic to been released back then, but it kind of sucks we had to wait 50 years for it to come out. And but it's fantastic. It just blows me away to think, like, I feel like I'm in the especially when I listen to it with headphones. I feel like I'm in the studio. I feel like I'm just sitting there, and Elvis is sitting there jamming next to me, and it's just fantastic. I mean, it's crazy. It's hard to explain it, but it's just very like touching. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain it, but it's just a great album.
You mentioned there one of the albums that produced from these sessions was Elvis Country.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the seguing between the tracks using I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago? How do you feel about that?
Well, I like it to some degree, but I kind of like if they would have just put the songs on there and did it like a normal album, because it was weird. Because then in 1972 on the Elvis Now album, they added that song in its entirety as like a filler. So it just made no sense that they would put like just snippets of it in the country album.
Yeah, so I've never really liked that either, to be honest.
And
yeah, go on. Yeah,
the song's fantastic, but I just if they were going to add it on the Elvis Country album, they should have just put it in its entirety, because the snippets are it just cuts out. So
yeah. So what would you give this box set out of 10?
Out of 10, probably about a 9.5, because and because the gatefold is it stinks. They should have put like 2 shots of Elvis, but instead they put like a recording. They put like recording studio A right here.
Yeah.
And but they did give us nice inner sleeves, and I know that the CD set comes in like a 4 CD package and has a booklet. And but really, to be honest with you, the biggest thing is the music, and the way that they did this, I think, is very fantastic. I think Elvis would really be proud.
And you would definitely say go out and buy it.
Yeah, go out and buy it. And I actually have some recommendations of places you can buy it.
Yeah.
Amazon is a pretty good place. They sell the album like $23, and the CD set's about $35. And normally you get free shipping. And you can also get it off shopelvis.com. I wouldn't recommend you get it off eBay, because a lot of people like to jack the prices. But then Shop Graceland is a good place to go. But shipping's really expensive off there. But you get colored vinyl, you get blue and orange. And it's not translucent. It's just like blue and orange vinyl, so it's not see-through. But if, their shipping takes a while. But, if you really just want to get it and listen to it, and you don't care about the exclusive, just Shop Elvis and Amazon are probably the best places to go.
Now, as everybody can see there, it actually says Jake Bailiff, Everything Elvis. You have an Elvis YouTube channel, don't you?
Yes, sir.
I was watching a couple of videos there the other night, and I was intrigued about the 15 minutes of Elvis on stage in 1969. I'd never seen most of that. That was the first time I'd seen some of that.
Yeah, I just came across it, and I thought, man, I don't think anybody's seen this. And I don't know who filmed it, but the guy that put it up, I thought, well, I might as well just share this too, because it's like, I want more people to see it. And that's the whole goal of my Elvis YouTube channel, is to bring people stuff that really isn't out there as much. You know what I mean? Because for example, like Elvis on tour footage, we don't have a lot, and I try to find as much as I can and release it, because, people that were at these shows would like to see that concert footage, and it's not available.
I've seen short snippets of 8mm film of him, on stage in 1969, and I always get very kind of, why was this filmed professionally? When every time I see it, but that almost looked like videotape that I was watching there the other night on your channel.
Yeah, and it's almost like it was recorded with like a tape recorder or something, but it was pretty clear footage, and the audio was pretty good, but it just they're not like, some of the songs aren't full and some of them are, like for example like Suspicious Minds, it cuts in at like half the song, but it's just like it's crazy that we have recordings but we have like no footage, and the thing that makes me mad as the most is they didn't record the opening night of 1969, because You know, that was Elvis's first really big return to Vegas, his first Vegas show, and they up since 1956, and they didn't want to record it.
I think the earliest we have is August the 3rd, 1969.
Yeah.
But I did see something going around. I don't know whether it was faked or not. There was a photograph of a reel of tape, and it had the 31st of July, 69 written on it. But I'm still, the jury is still out on it, you know. But
yeah,
until
we can
there's a message there for you to say that somebody has subbed to your channel. I would recommend anybody to check out Jake's channel, Jake Bailiff, Everything Elvis, because there's some really, really good stuff on there. Jake, for such a young fella, you really know your Elvis stuff. You really do.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thanks for coming on. Actually, somebody's just answered here to say that they've seen that reel of tape, and they think it's a fake. So that's disappointing to say the least. So I can actually remove that because I don't want to see that on my channel. Okay. So yeah, sorry, Jake. So thanks once again for coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your review from Elvis in Nashville?
Just get it. That's all I'm going to say, because it's very, very good. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I would agree with Jake as well. I would just don't hesitate, just get it. Oh, and I wanted to say, I know you said that "Funny How Time Slips Away" is probably your favorite on that album.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, the outtakes they've included on the box set.
Yeah,
there's one Snowbird take one.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And that's it. I mean, and it's not one of my favorite songs, but when I heard it on this box set, I just loved it. And it's just the way you can't. The one that was released on the Elvis Country album, the voices, the female voices, I thought were too loud.
Yeah.
And when you hear take one with nobody singing along, just Elvis, you think, wow, what a great vocal performance.
Yeah.
So that's mine. And then second, a close second, is When I'm Over You. Again, I think it's an underrated song, and there's an outtake included on this box set, and it just, I'm not sure whether it's an outtake or whether it's just the master, and it's not faded out as soon, but he starts kind of free vocalizing and everything like that, and starting singing different lines, different ways. So that's a close second. Yeah. And then I also liked the undubbed Bridge Over Troubled Water as well. Is another great one.
Yeah,
great one.
It's great, man.
But it's almost like discovering Elvis's voice again.
Yeah, I also catching up the first take, because Elvis really just gets into it, really tears it up, and it's like just imagine being in the studio watching Elvis record that. I mean, those guys are lucky.
Yeah, you can say that again. You can say, and what a band as well. Like, they were tight. Yeah. They were really. I mean, Elvis picked a great band there, not just for the studio, but for his live shows as well.
Yeah, because at this time, we had Ronnie Tutt on stage, but then we had Jerry Kerrigan playing the drums in the session, so it wasn't Tutt on the drums.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to get Matt Rossbang on the show, actually, and he can talk to us about working on the album, but he has to come back to me, so fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I think it's really fantastic what they did.
Yeah, he is. He's a cool guy, is right. Right. Okay, Jake, thanks very much. Thanks again. And actually, I'll probably have you on again as well, because you're such a cool guy. we can think of another subject we can talk about. I'll put you back in the green room, and you can watch the rest of the show anyway.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Cheers, buddy. Okay, that was Jake Bailiff. And as I say, I would urge you to check out his YouTube channel, Everything Elvis, because there's some really cool stuff that he uploads on there, and rare stuff as well. As I say, every time I think I've seen or heard everything, and then Jake comes along and he uploads the 15 minutes of footage from 1969. So Steve says, great idea. I would love to hear Matt interviewed. Yeah, so would I. I'd love to be able to talk to him as well. And Jake, I think he's only 14 or 15. And it's so refreshing when you see somebody like Jake, who is so enamored and just so overwhelmed and just such a genuine fan of Elvis. And he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. And there's another subscriber for you there, Jake, as well. Okay, so I want to start by putting up the first question tonight for the Elvis quiz. And you only get 5 minutes on this. So at 8 o'clock, I will say that's it, no more answers. So this is question number 1. Okay, what was the first song Elvis recorded for RCA Victor? Okay, and the clock is ticking now, and you can leave your comments. Okay, so what was the first song Elvis recorded for RCA Victor? And that was on January the 10th, 1956. Okay. Jake's got a lot of fans coming in here now. Okay, Cat Girl Blue. Okay. So a lot of people are saying Heartbreak Hotel as the first song recorded by Elvis on January the 10th, 1956. By the way, Jake, I know you're still listening, and you are actually exempt. you you can't take part tonight. Sorry, buddy, but guests can't take part. Sorry about that. But don't worry, you'll get your chance next week. Okay. Wow, so many people saying Heartbreak Hotel. So many people saying Heartbreak Hotel. Although, no, we do have a Blue Suede Shoes as well. All right. Danny is saying Blue Suede Shoes. Now, don't forget, guys, you've only got 5 minutes. Vicky Clausen? No, afraid not. Okay. Got somebody, Doodle Sparkle Cleaning. I've got a woman. Okay. Pablo, I've got a woman. Okay. So we've got 3 guesses so far. I've got a woman, Heartbreak Hotel, and Blue Suede Shoes. Okay, call Mary Patricia on your live stream. She is a huge Elvis fan. Her YouTube channel is cool. I might check that out, Sandro. Okay. Aaron Battings says, I'm counting on you. Counting on me? Oh, no, that's your answer. Yeah. First in line, Hound Dog. Okay. All right. So what was the first song Elvis recorded for RCA Victor? All right. Yeah, Arkansas Dave, I did get your email about it. It's Elvis, Are You Lonesome Tonight? And it was on the Reels channels. Now, the thing is we don't get Reels over here in England and Ireland. But what I think happens is after a few weeks, another station that broadcasts on our satellite channels actually show it, because we got the we got the autopsy program, and that was on Reels first. So I'm looking out for that. It's Are You Lonesome Tonight is the name of the documentary. If anybody watched that documentary yesterday or last night or whenever it was on in the States, can they just let us know, was it worth watching and what was it about and so forth? Okay, we got hi Rob. Rob is saying January 27th, 1956, Heartbreak Hotel. Okay. Reels has been showing Elvis related stuff all weekend in the USA. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what the alternative is over here. It might be the History Channel or something like that. Lonesome Tonight, Robert Reed. Okay. All right. I can say that one person has got it right. So and believe it or not, I'm going to actually call a halt on it in about 30 seconds. So, believe it or not, only one person, as far as I could see. Doug will actually confirm this later on. But so far, I can only see one person that's got it right. Although I am just getting in my earpiece now that 4 or 5 people have got it right. Okay, I have a direct line here to Fort Worth. Okay, right. So it just goes to show how what a good job Doug is doing, because I would have missed that. I only saw it come in once, so that's great. He can be my moderator more often. Right, guys, I'm actually going to call a halt to that question. That's actually gone now, and no more answers, unfortunately. No more answers. So David says I was the one. Sandra says, let's play Google. Yeah, I think he means let's play house. Okay, right. So that's actually it now. Question 2 will be coming up in a few minutes. In fact, what I'll probably do is I'll ask question 2 at 8:05, and then I'll know to stop again at 8:10. Okay, so the next thing I want to say is, has anybody seen the Are You Lonesome Tonight documentary that was shown on Reels, and was it worth watching? Okay. Or what did everybody think of Jake and his review of From Elvis in Nashville? And are they going to buy it? Or if they bought it and listened to it, do they agree with what Jake says? I'd agree with what Jake says, and Jake just says, buy it. Don't even think about it, just buy it. Okay. The show spoke of being a twin-less twin, and how Elvis tried many ways to connect to his brother Jesse. Okay, that's Hilda. So Hilda watched that. Jake is so passionate about Elvis. Yes, I would agree 100%. And he knows his stuff as well. And you know, the more fans like Jake, the better. That's what I say. You know, younger fans coming through and things like that. He really is a credit to Elvis and the fandom. He really is. Nice guy. Nice guy. Okay, Jarno, you can actually you can stop now, because we've actually called a halt to the to question 1 anyway, and question 2 is coming up in a couple of minutes. Okay, I know more about Elvis than Jake. I'm sorry, Steve. Okay, well, maybe you should come on and we'll have a chat. But it's not so much about knowing more about Elvis anyway. It's about being passionate about it and enjoying being an Elvis fan. It's John says it was good old information, but new show with Billy Smith. When was it made? Was it made was it made recently? Yeah, me and Jake could talk about Elvis for hours. Is right. Yeah, you're right. So yeah. The autopsy showed that the following day, did it, or something? No, the autopsy show that followed did not favor Elvis, but did not state he died of unrelated drug heart attack. Okay. Right, so we're coming up for question number 2. And it is, how much did Elvis pay for the house in Audubon Drive in March 1956? Okay, now, I suppose if we don't get exactly on the button, we could go for the nearest. So, you know, if you're within sort of, I don't know, $500 or something like that, we could do that. So how much did Elvis pay for the house on Audubon Drive in March 1956? And you've got 5 minutes. So that is 10 past 8 or 10 past your hour. Okay, so we've got some coming in here. Cat Girl Blue says, okay, Cat Girl Blue says 50,000, 40,000, 32,000. Okay, we've got Aaron. Okay. Don't know why that's coming up. Okay. 5,000. That it would have been a little bit more than 5,000. Are You Lonesome Tonight had new interviews with Billy Smith. Well, that's worth looking at then. What we got? 102,500. No. We've got 2,500. Okay. David 29K. All right. Okay. So just to recap, how much did Elvis pay for the house in Audubon Drive in March 1956? Okay, Marie's the name. 29,500. Okay. As I say, guys, if you're within sort of 500, then you're in with a shout. I can see quite a few coming in which are close, some which are quite a long way off, and there's a few there that have got it right. So fair play. That's really good, because I thought that was actually quite a difficult question. Carl Al says $500 down payment. Yeah, I think it was $500 down payment, but it's not the down payment we're after. We're actually after the total amount, the asking price. No, I don't think yours was close, Sandra, because it was it looked like a made up figure actually. And it's like this one. I think they made that one up. 102,500. Yeah. Okay. All right. 33 and a third is saying 27,000. Okay. We've got 2 minutes left on this particular question. How much did Elvis pay for the house on Audubon Drive in March 1956? Okay. Elvis paid for the house in cash, no payments. Yeah, well, I know what you're saying, Marcia. Yeah, but we still need to know how much he paid to buy the house for it to be his. Dave, I have seen the receipt. Yes, I have. Yeah. Hillary is saying 30,000. Okay. Somebody else here, 42,500. Okay, Matt Soar. Okay. Okay, we've got 1 minute left. How much did Elvis pay for the house on Audubon Drive? I'm just going to send a private chat to Doug. Correct. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, yeah, we have some correct answers. That's good news. So I can take that off because the 5 minutes is up, and we're going to have another question in around about 5 minutes. Yeah, I know what you're saying, David. Yeah, you're saying how much is that in today's money? Yeah, I want to know how much he paid in 1956. The total that in 1956. That's a very, very good talking point. The neighbors did not like it. It's correct. They didn't, and that's one of the reasons why he only he only spent so little time there. Well, he spent so little time there anyway because he was either on the road, he was touring, or he was making films. Well, he wasn't making films in March 1956, but he was making Love Me Tender at the end of 1956. But I suppose you could say, I know people say, well, Elvis lived there for 12 months. Yeah, he owned the house for 12 months, but he only spent, probably if you added it all up, he only spent a few months there in total. And well, I don't know whether they actually hated Elvis Vincenzo. They didn't like what him being there brought to the neighborhood, and they okay. Just an update on the quiz. One person has 2 correct, so we've got a potential winner tonight. Okay, and if you remember, it's actually 2-1 to the boys. There was a lady, and I have her name written down here now. Her name was Ruth Daniels. She actually stopped the boys getting a hat trick. She actually stopped the boys getting 3 in a row. So we're not sure now whether it'll be a man or a woman tonight. It could either go 3-1 or it could go 2-2. Okay. Yeah. So going back to Audubon Drive, they didn't like the traffic in their neighborhood. They didn't like the fact that the fans were congregating and making a noise, and so and I suppose Elvis roaring up and down the driveway in his motorcycle and things like that. So unfortunately, it just didn't work out too well. And I don't know. They moved to Graceland in March 1957. And a lot of people say that Gladys wasn't happy. It was she overwhelmed. She was overwhelmed by it. Yeah, I mean, Jake says they didn't like Elvis because he had fans and his music was controversial. Yeah. Audubon or Graceland, not too sure what you mean by that. Yeah, Gladys hung her clothes outside and they didn't like that either. Yeah, and things like that. I think it was very unfair what some of the neighbors intimated, that they brought the neighborhood down. And yet, Elvis was bringing so much to the neighborhood in so many ways, and for them to say that they were bringing the neighborhood down, I think was absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. But then again, there you go. He actually did threaten. They got a committee together. The neighbors got a committee together to buy Elvis's house, and he says, "Damn that!" He says, "I'll buy their houses." So yeah. But I don't know whether Gladys was ever comfortable at Graceland. Yeah, Jan M. Neighbors got together and offered to buy the house so he'd move. He said he told them he'd buy their houses and they could move. That's right. Yeah, that's just what I've just said as well, Jan. Yeah, you're very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. Yeah. Okay. I'd just like to say also that if anybody wants to join me for a live show, they can send me an email at elvistheultimatefan@gmail.com. The same as Jake did and the same as Doug did. And it's great fun. When I get Doug back on, actually, he can tell you just how easy it is just to join. You don't have to download any software or anything like that. You just click on a link and away you go. So you can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Okay. And don't forget, please subscribe, like, and share the channel and click the bell to be notified when I upload new content or go live. And also, if you can check out my Elvis podcast channel too, it's available on all podcast platforms. Okay. So we're coming up now to the third and final question. And as Doug was letting me know in my earpiece, we have one person that has 2 correct. So that's very interesting. So if they can get that third one correct, they could be fan of the week. Okay. Yeah. Danny, you should send out Elvis Fan of the Week t-shirts. Yes. I was only thinking during the week that, for all the effort that people put in to coming and looking and watching my channel, and answering the questions, they should win something, or get some sort of recognition or something like that. So I'm thinking of doing some giveaways. I just don't know what yet, but it would be a great idea. Maybe a T-shirt or something like that. But I don't know whether anybody would wear a T-shirt with Elvis the Ultimate Fan channel on. Gladys's rooster woke the neighbors. I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah. Okay, so here we go for question number 3. If you're ready there, Doug. Okay, name the ship that Elvis traveled to Germany in while serving in the U.S. Army. Okay, name the ship that Elvis sailed in or traveled into Germany while serving in the U.S. Army. Okay. Larry Strickland interview is fantastic. I like the overall story. Thanks, Jake. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Right. Okay, we've got some answers coming in here now. Rob says he would wear an Elvis the Ultimate Fan channel T-shirt. Okay. Okay, so we got a mug. Yeah, I suppose I could get some mugs in, couldn't I? What a good idea. Yeah, if anybody is interested in Eat, Drink, and Sleep Elvis mug. Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Okay. All right. So Hillary says U.S. Randall. Cat Girl Blue says she loved the interview with Larry Strickland. Yeah, don't forget, folks, if you want to hear the any of my interviews, just go to YouTube and they're all there. Gail says I'd wear it, but don't think I'd win it though. Well, you never know. I mean, as I start sort of switching the questions around, they might suit people more, because I'm conscious that some of them might be just maybe a little bit too difficult. I don't know. I just try and find something. I try and strike a balance between too easy and too difficult. Okay. I'm just getting a notification that we probably do have a winner tonight. So that takes the pressure off me, because I was worried. I was worried we wouldn't. Although I'm sure Ruth would want to be a fan for another week. Thanks very much. That's very kind, Jarno. Thank you very much. 22nd of September 1958 is correct. Yeah, that's when it was. Yeah. Okay. We've got 2 more minutes to see, but we do have a definite winner. So I would probably close this off now, and I would just say to everybody, thanks very much for putting in all your I would love the mug as much as I still love Elvis. That's very good, Kathleen. Yeah. Well, this mug actually is very, very good. I ordered it just as a sample to see what it was like, and I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed on the printing, and I'm very impressed on how sturdy it is as well. So, Jarno says he's going to order a mug. No problem. Okay. Dave says USS Randall. Okay. All right. Right. So we are closing that off now. And we do have Vincenzo. I got 2 mugs. That's 1 for each hand. Okay. Right. All right. I think we will close that off now, as it's coming up to 20 past. Okay. Okay. I'll be going back over to Doug in a few minutes, and he can tell us with a drum roll who is the winner. Okay. We're all winners tonight, because anybody that tuned in and saw Doug telling us about Elvis, and anybody that joined in and saw Jake telling us about the From Elvis in Nashville box set, and also just, to see somebody as passionate about Elvis as Jake is, and not to have really been born until so long after Elvis passed is just a great. It's just a great indictment of how big and how successful and just what such a special person, a special talent that Elvis is and continues to be. The Reels doc, of course, showed Larry Geller. He looks bad, but was still preaching the same old stuff. Yeah, I continue to try and nail Larry Geller down for an interview, a chat, but no, still not coming through. I think he might be frail. He might be not too well, unfortunately. There's somebody else there, Danny. Okay, Danny. Jake, I'm going to bring you back in if that's okay in a few seconds. Greg, that Reel doc was a bunch of bull. Okay, well. I'd still like to see it, though, if it comes on the History Channel or something like that, and make up my own mind. But that's disappointing if you thought it was a. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hopefully I get a chance to make my own decision on that. So I've got Dave saying the majority of the Reel doc emphasized more on how the impact of losing his mum and especially losing Jessie affected him. I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. Larry knew Elvis very well. Okay. All right. Now, it would be awesome to do a group live chat with you and Jake. I'd be happy to join. Well, as I say, Aaron, if you want to send me an email, or anybody for that matter, if they want to join me on a live stream one evening, that's the email address there to send it to. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody. I really would, because you know me, I'll just talk about Elvis 24/7. So I'm going to bring Jake back in now. You're still there, Jake? Yeah,
I'm here.
It helps if I put my headphones on so I can hear. What's that mug you're drinking from?
It's Graceland mug. It's got a picture of Elvis in 56, and then it's got another picture of Elvis in 56, and then it's got, that's the way it is. And I actually got this right before I toured the Lisa Marie. So it was in the Graceland Air Gift Shop. It was sitting up on the shelf. I said, that's cool. So I got it. So
you've been to Graceland?
Yeah, I've been to Graceland.
I've been, how many times? Just once, yeah?
Yeah, just once. I went last June. It was so fun. We stayed a week down there. We went to Tupelo. We even went to Vernon's house. It's sad how it's all chained up and stuff. We actually saw a raccoon at Vernon's house. So, and it was really in poor condition. I just wish somebody'd buy it and fix it up. But, yeah, we went to Tupelo. We went to his birthplace, and we toured Graceland. And we took the VIP tour, so I got to go and hold Elvis's Shelby County police badge. So that was a real honor.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny when you mentioned Graceland, sorry, not Graceland, when you mentioned Dolan Drive, Vernon's house being in such disrepair, and would somebody buy it? I've heard that Graceland have offered to buy it numerous times, but every time they've just asked way, way, way too much.
Yeah, because I know that like the foot doctor that's right next to Graceland, I know that I believe Graceland owns that, and it but I just doesn't make sense because it's in really poor shape. We went and there was like boards everywhere. The grass was really overgrown, and and like 2 years ago they were still giving tours, but it's like for some odd reason it just seemed to just close, but
yeah. What did you think of Tupelo? It's very humbling, isn't it, when you see exactly where he came from such humble beginnings.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful town. Nice little town. I really like it down there. We went to the Tupelo hardware store. We were a little bit late though because it closed, but I still got a picture in front. But we toured the birthplace, and it really, like, it's hard to explain it, but I really felt his presence at the birthplace a lot. I really felt like I was walking in his footsteps, and when we walked up, because there's like this big long hill, and you go up to the top, and there's a statue of a little Elvis, and then Aloha Elvis, and I took a picture next to that, and I was I was taking in so much, and it just felt like I could have, like, I just started picturing stuff of like Elvis, Gladys and Vernon, like, trying to make it through, and it was like it was just like eye opening,
Yeah, yeah. What about Sun Studio? You went to Sun Studio, obviously.
Yeah, I did go to Sun Studio. It was awesome. If you go to Sun Studio, the ticket price is really cheap. We actually happened to just walk in there, and they were just about ready to give a tour, so we got a tour. Tour about $40, but you get to hold the original microphone that Elvis recorded pretty much all of his Sun songs in, including like My Happiness, and That's When Your Heartaches Begin.
Like myself as well, you stood on the cross. They have crosses on the floor, don't they, where Elvis stood and where Scotty. There's a mark on the floor, I think, where Bill's bass stood as well.
Yeah, it's a big black like hole in the ground. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I kind of got, and I'm thinking about it now, and I'm getting it again. Is like, when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I definitely got that one. I stood on the cross.
Yeah,
on the little wee cross. Was it Bob Dylan that walked in and kissed the floor where Elvis stood? I heard a story about it.
I think so. I know somebody did. I believe it was Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of singers that do still record there.
Yeah,
because it's still. But there's a funny thing is it used to be called Sun Records, but for some reason they call it Sun Studios because I believe somebody owns the title to Sun Records, so they can't call it Sun Records anymore. They have to call it Sun Studios. But like back then, and obviously like in 1978, it became a car shop. So that was kind of sad. But they brought everything back in that was originally there, which was really cool.
Yeah. I think the U2 album, Rattle and Hum, I think was recorded in Sun Studios, I believe. And again, Bono is a very, very big Elvis fan. Then again, who isn't?
But what's also cool there is they have Elvis's Martin with I don't believe it might be the original case. I'm not exactly sure. It's a cow skin case, but it has an original guitar that he used, on Ed Sullivan. He used in the 50s, with the guitar cover that says Elvis Presley, like on the right side. And they also have his jacket that he wore when he first came on TV on the 28th. Remember on Stage Show? They actually have that jacket sitting there, and it's always. I walked in there, I was always stumped because I was like, why is it this at Graceland? But it was kind of cool to see other Elvis artifacts that aren't at Graceland, in different places.
Are you planning on going back to Graceland again?
Yeah, probably next summer. Hopefully by then. I mean, our tour was really limited. We had 6 people in the house, so it was kind of like we almost had our own rooms. Yeah. And I met a lot of nice people down there, surprisingly, considering all the stuff going on. But I would like it. It was a very personable tour, but I would like to have it where everybody's there because then you meet a lot of people and stuff. So it's really awesome.
It can get very emotional when you visit the meditation garden, doesn't it?
Yeah. I kind of got a little bit choked up when I walked by. It was, but I just looked at it and kind of thought, I can't believe he's been gone longer than he's been alive. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. No, I got emotional as well. I broke down. I don't mind telling everybody I broke down when I visited. It was the early morning walk up, where I think you're allowed up between, I think it's 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely June morning. The sun was coming through the trees, and it was dappling on the Graceland, grass. And it was just myself and my wife. And just us and the sound of the fountain, and it just kind of got to me, and I just kind of collapsed nearly. I just I don't mind telling everybody, it just really got to me.
It does, kind of, and it's just crazy because sometimes like I listen to him and I it's kind of strange, but I still think he's like around, you know what I mean, and then like I have to realize that he's been gone, but. Because it's like everything. That's what's so fantastic is with all these new releases and stuff. It's almost like he's still releasing stuff, so it's really cool.
I think he is still around. You know, because as long as his films are showing, as long as his concerts are playing, I mean, they showed the 1968 comeback special in the movie houses here, and they also did That's the Way It Is as well. And I think That's the Way It Is showing over there now at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, our theaters are closed, so I was really looking forward to
Yeah.
it. About last week, they closed them. I was like, oh, because
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to seeing it. We were thinking about going on the Thursday on the 3rd, and because it's the same that you see on the DVD, but it's on a huge screen and it's surround sound. So it's like, but it was just disappointing they closed the theaters because of the stuff going around. But
yeah. But as long as his movies are showing, his records are out, then he'll never leave us. He'll never leave us.
Well, yeah,
Jake. Go on. Yeah.
I believe From Elvis in Nashville was on top 20 best-selling albums on Amazon. So
wow. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Okay, Jake. Thanks very much. I'll have you on again if you'll come on again.
Yeah, I'll come on. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Okay. Big thanks. Okay. That was Jake. As I said, don't forget subscribe to his channel, Everything Elvis, and we're going to bring Doug back in. Hi, Doug.
Hey. I gotta put
tell
my
me.
glasses on.
We have a winner, do we?
That's right, Steve. At first I thought it was going to be Doodle Sparkle Cleaning. They were the only ones to get the first answer for a long time. But then we had 5 get the first one right and a bunch get the second one. And then only one person got all 3 right. And that is Leanne Penrod. Leanne Penrod. The women have tied it up.
Okay, it was a lady, yeah?
Yep, Leanne Penrod tied up. The ladies now have 2, and the guys have 2.
Yeah, well, that makes it very interesting actually, because it's a draw now, so whoever gets the next one will go ahead. And did you see the comments coming in there saying that a winner should get something? So that's a good idea. I don't know whether it'll be a mug or a shirt, but I'll have to think during the week and see what we can do.
I was going to say Jake was being humble. He's also an up-and-coming ETA Elvis artist as well, I believe.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think if you check out his YouTube channel, you'll see him singing Elvis. Is that correct, Jake? I can still see you in the small screen. He's giving me a nod. Yeah. So well done, Leanne. That's great. Yeah. And thanks, Doug, for helping me out tonight. I wouldn't have been able to have done it without you, because I definitely would. I only saw one correct answer.
Yeah.
And then you held up 5, and I thought, oh, great.
Well, I was glad I could be of some service to the podcast. You're one of my favorites, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you very, very, very much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I don't have a catchphrase, but I just want to say that Jake was an inspiration to me personally, because I've been worried about the younger generation not coming in to enjoy Elvis, and it's good to see a young person really know Elvis for what he really is. The great, first it's his voice, just that great unbeatable voice that he has.
I agree.
And that's unbeatable. And so that was good. I was glad that Jake was on the same show as me. So I want to thank you and Jake both for being a part of a special day for me. It was fun. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to ask Jake back, because actually somebody said, we could talk for hours and hours and hours about Elvis, and he's such a pleasant guy, as you are.
Well,
it was an honor to have 2 great guests on. It really was. And as I said before, if anybody else wants to join me, just send me an email, elvistheultimatefanchannel@gmail.com. Doug will tell you just how easy it is to come on the show.
It's real easy. I did have to download Chrome, so if you don't have Chrome, you got to download that. So.
Yeah, but apart from that, it's just 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's real easy. Real easy. It's very.
And then you just type in your name and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Doug, I'm going to let you go, and as I say, I hope you will come back on again and we can chat more Elvis. I'm sure you're going to do the same as I am. You're going to wear out from Elvis in Nashville over the next week.
Yeah, I you know what, and that album is, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, you need to go out and listen to it. it is raw Elvis at its best. So,
Yeah, I can see Jake nodding as well, and Jake sort of summed it up. He says, "Don't think about it, just go out and get it."
yeah,
Or if you can't go out and get it, order it, and and they'll bring it to you. You know, I also downloaded it through YouTube Music, so I can
oh
sort of
wow,
just I can just stream it. So I can stream it to my bedroom speaker, I can stream it to my laptop, and also my car streams as well. So it's everywhere, you know. And I just if I walk into the room, I say resume, and it resumes. If I go in the car, resume. It just picks up where I left off, and I've just listened to it constantly for the last week, and I just can't get enough of it. I really
yeah,
can't.
that's really
And
good.
it's not as expensive as people think either. I mean, Jake said, you know, you could pick it up for 25, $30, I think he says. So
Yeah,
well worth it. Well
well,
worth
it's
it.
either that or Justin Bieber. What are you gonna do? You know.
Yeah. I was interested when I asked Jake, you know, I thought he'd say, well, I listened to such and such as well, you know. And I thought he'd say somebody, you know, who's hot at the moment, if you like.
Yeah,
And he says, no, just Elvis. So
yeah,
I was just blown away by that as well. He
yeah,
doesn't like popular music. Great, you know, so great. Okay, Doug, look after yourself.
yeah.
And Jake, you look after yourself as well and stay safe.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay, guys, we're going to be rounding it off now. And congratulations to Leanne again. So that makes it 2-2. 2 to the guys and 2 to the girls. And as I said, I will probably think of something that you can be awarded for being Elvis Fan of the Week, because you know you come on and you watch and you take part, and you know it's all very good natured, a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun, but at the end of the day, it would be nice to get something as well. So maybe I'll do some T-shirts or a mug or something like that. So I'd like to thank you. Oh, Marcia says, tell the answers to the questions. Okay, so if for anybody that's missed it, don't forget, if you're coming in late, you can watch this on replay on my Elvis YouTube channel. So the question one was, what was the first song Elvis recorded for RCA Victor? And a lot of people thought it was Heartbreak Hotel, but it was actually I Got a Woman, the Ray Charles song. He kind of warmed up with that, really. And then the second one was, how much did Elvis pay for the house on Audubon Drive in March 1956? And somebody says, did you see the receipt? Yes, I have seen the receipt. So it has been validated, and it was $29,500. And just as a little bit of trivia, the following year, they allowed him 55,000 trade-in against Graceland. So in the 12 months that Elvis owned Audubon Drive, it went up from 29,500 to 55,000. And then the third question was, name the ship that Elvis traveled to Germany in whilst serving in the US Army. And that was the USS Randall. Okay, so just for everybody that wanted a recap. Carlisle says, have a great week, stay safe. I'd agree with that. Bye from Italy. Somebody says, I want a mug. Thumbs up, everybody. You can enter the quiz on replay and win. No, you can't, David. You can't. I like it. Okay, guys, I'm going to wind it up, and I'm going to say exactly the same thing as I say every week. First of all, I'm going to say thanks to Dougie and thanks to Jake one more time, because it was absolutely great. And I'm going to say, what does it say here, Steve? Any guest star interview these days? There's one coming up next week, hopefully. Somebody who was quite close to Elvis. So I'm going to wind up, and I'm going to say, please look after yourselves. You make this channel, because without you popping in and seeing me every week, I'd be talking to myself. And until we meet again, may God bless you. Adios, and stay safe, everyone.